4,000 miles. And then we got together,
Yeah.
March last year, and no, May last year, wasn't it? And then it's just been non-stop travel since. We were going away once a month, and then that wasn't so it became a full-time thing. So, and I think I've done, I don't know, since we've started traveling, probably 30 countries or something like that.
Wow.
48 in total, when you're on
58.
58 in total.
Oh
So
man.
yeah, it's been amazing. It's
Yeah,
been crazy.
that's cool. And with kids and everything too. I mean, that's got to be really, really hard, really fast paced too, right?
It has, yeah, it has its challenges, but at the same time, it's really rewarding as well. So, I mean, I've been able to pull the kids out of school because for me, the UK education system it's not great. It restricts your children. It's more about I find it's more about control rather than education. So for me, I've been able to take the kids out of school, broaden their horizons. They're like different kids now. Not being in that enclosed environment and being able to explore. Like my youngest, he's 9. He'll go out, he'll find a kid. He doesn't care if they speak English or not. He'll make friends with them and they'll be happy
Right?
as Larry. He can go and do that. So it's really nice.
The other thing with them is they could all go to an airport. They're what, 9, 14, and nearly 17, and they can all go to an airport, and that they know what to do and where to go. They're just it's so, like, sometimes when we get an early flight or something, or a really late flight, it's everyone's tired, a bit grouchy and stuff like that. But that's really it, isn't it? As far as the kids go, because they know what they're doing, so it's actually quite easy.
Hmm. Right. Yeah, that's super interesting. I mean, traveling full time to begin with is kind of people's dreams. So it's cool. How'd you get started traveling? I know you had your first holiday, but what was that switch that said, "Hey, like I need to do this full time"? And like, what was the first step that you took? Because I have an idea, but you guys have been there, so just curious how it worked for you.
So we always had in our head that we wanted to do it. Eventually, the end goal was to travel full time. But it kind of just how it came about a lot sooner than we imagined. So just before Christmas, I got a note put through my door from my landlord saying, "I want to move back in. Can you get out in 2 months?" And we're like, "What?" Not nice. Just before Christmas. Obviously, that time of year, there's nothing available. He was not nice about the whole situation. Um, Basically, it was just not my problem, get out. So we had all the stress and worry. We lived in a small village, there wasn't a lot available anyway, let alone, somewhere suitable for 2 adults and 3 children. So, I looked at places unsuitable, and they were like, "Oh, it's a minimum of 12 months." So I'm like, "Well, I can't stay somewhere unsuitable for a year."
Hmm.
It was just stressful, upsetting time. And I said, "You know what?" I said, "Let's just get rid of everything. Let's put the sentimental stuff in storage. Let's go traveling because we don't want to be in England anyway.
No.
It's depressing, it's cold, it's miserable, it's expensive. I'm not. Let's just go traveling. We'll fix this problem at a later date, okay? But for now, let's just do something good."
We'd planned to leave anyway, hadn't we? So
Yeah.
it was just moving everything forward 6 months or whatever it was at the time. So we've got this plan that in X amount of time we are going to go anyway, and then this sort of curveball came our way, and it was just okay. Well, let's just do it now then.
Hmm.
So was it a couple of months after that letter? Pretty much, we got rid of everything that we owned, and we sort of really just had the suitcases and the backpacks, and that was it. And it's crazy because everywhere you go, people, "Oh, where are you from?" We're like, "Well, we're from England, but we don't have a home. We just travel all the time." They're like, "Don't have anywhere to live?" We're like,
Right.
"How the world, you know?"
Yeah, that's cool. So that must have been a whirlwind of 2 months, right? I mean, selling everything, trying to put everything in backpacks, doing any kind of travel research, like that must have been overwhelming.
The main thing was just clearing everything out, wasn't it? Because I'd moved from sort of where I was living up the country, 2 hours away, to moving with you initially, hadn't I? And so I'd got some stuff in storage. I've got a big storage, 20-foot storage unit that I needed to clear. and we got the house full of stuff, our stuff, the kids' stuff, and stuff we didn't need, and it was just like selling everything, and then everything that we were keeping had to go back down to storage in sort of, well, Kent and Northamptonshire sort of thing. It was like a couple of separate places, so we were right up the country and had to ship it all the way down there, as well as sort of organising everything else. So it was a bit of a manic time, wasn't it?
17 years of stuff would accumulated, and why do I have this? Like,
it's brutal, isn't it? Like, are we going to use this like immediately? If not, it's either being sold, donated, or chucked. You know?
That's what stage we're in right now. Who wants to keep everything?
It's mad.
You go through everything, and it's like, what about this stapler? Like, what do I do with this stapler? You
No
know,
one's gonna buy this. What do I do with it?
But I mean, I had a friend around the corner as well who just messaged right at the very end. I messaged them like, right, I've got this stuff. I'm going to leave it in my porch. If you want it, come and get it. And okay, brilliant. So yeah, but apart from that, it was like charity shops, skip runs. We just had to be brutal.
I had to go down to do open up a big one of those 20-foot storage containers full of stuff, and I just opened the doors. I posted all over Facebook, come and have a look. There's I was just stand there for the day, just waiting for people to come and just take stuff. Eventually, it was like, just have it, just put it in your car and go.
right?
And luckily, my uncle, he likes everything. He collects everything. He's got 75 ladders and 50 drills, and he has to have like a spare, and then a spare of a spare, and a spare. And I said, "Oh, come and have a look, see if there's any tools you want." And so I've got a shed load of tools, and it was like he brought his trailer up, he filled his trailer up, and off he went. It was brilliant.
So how'd you guys pick like what went with you in your suitcases? You know, you have all this 17 years worth of accumulation of stuff. Like, how'd you narrow it down to things that would fit in a 20-inch by 17-inch by 14-inch bag?
What we needed,
Yeah.
which is probably not a lot. So we found ourselves, we've lost stuff along the way. So originally when we started off, we had 2 big cases, and we had a little case each, and we had a backpack each. Managed to get back down to 1 big case. We're now traveling with no big cases.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I mean, I've carried some weird random stuff around with me. So I have like my silicone Yorkshire pudding pots, because you can't get them anywhere.
I don't even know
what that is. What is that?
Of course, in the States you don't have that. So in the UK we have our traditional Sunday roast, and you have a Yorkshire pudding with it.
Okay.
So these little pots, I love them. They're a godsend, and they travel around the world with me. So because I still like to cook, you see, and we still like our home comforts from time to time. So at least I can know I can still get some flour and eggs and milk, and I can still make our Yorkshire puddings and make them up perfectly every time.
It's weird. So I had Lisa got me a morph suit for Christmas, because I always wanted one. And I've only just got rid of that. I've only just left it in England when we came out to Mexico. It's been going around in the bottom of one of my carry-on bag.
Oh man.
I didn't wear that on my travels, but
Yeah, it's just been a case of, you know what, I packed what we need, so essentials, you know, like clothes, cosmetics and whatnot. You know, it's a few odds and sods. I've got like my weighted hula hoop, which travelled with me right up until we come back out to Mexico. I was like, I'm not using it. You know, it needs to go. But yeah, so I mean, every country we've gone to, I've managed to lose more and more stuff. Like, no, it hasn't been used, so it doesn't need to be travelling with us.
thing is, we've had some practice as well. Well, for me, because I've not really travelled until we got together. It's like we went to Morocco for 3 weeks, and we just took a carry-on bag, and it's just a case of what we'd got in that bag, get it washed, and then rewear it. Get it washed and rewear it. So I don't know, half a dozen outfits or whatever, and just wash them. And then we lived out of our bags for 3 weeks, a little carry-on bag, you know. Mm-hmm. So kind of had that in the back of my mind. Well, we've lived for 3 weeks with the bare essentials. You don't actually. My camera, my tripod, and all my wires, my external hard drive and laptop, that takes up more than actually my clothes and the other. So
nice. Yeah, that's some weird stuff. A morph suit and a
Weighted
hula hoop. Have you guys been stopped by airport security for any of these weird stuff? Yeah.
Yes. Oh, bathroom scales as well. I carry bathroom scales around with
Nice.
me. They haven't come to Mexico because I want to enjoy my food. Yeah, I have been stopped a few times with my big case. What's in my bag, ma'am? Everything.
Oh my god.
Can you open it? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, so what's in here? I'm like, legit everything. I'm like, we travel full time. I said, I've got kitchen scissors. I've got a knife. I'm honest. If they say, you got anything sharp? I'm like, yeah, I've got a kitchen knife for kitchen stuff. Because sometimes, we stay in apartments and villas and things. It's surprising how many of them don't actually have essential stuff to cook with. So I do carry bits and pieces and utensils and stuff. And I get some funny looks. They're like, okay, she's got nothing bad, but this woman is crazy.
Right? Yeah, we like to cook also. One of my little travel tips that I got one of those pill bottles, and they stack up and they twist on top of each other, and I fill it up with spices, right?
Yeah.
So then, it's nice and small. You do that too?
I do it, yeah.
It's awesome, except for, you go through TSA with a carry-on, and the one guy just looked at it and goes, hold on a second, because he was going to go check it for drugs, right? Because I have like oregano and garlic and onion powder, and it looks like not so good stuff. So I laugh every time because they confiscate it, but it's like, oh man, are they going to take my parsley this time? I don't know. It's
Yeah, he's always like, you and your spices. God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
How'd you guys deal with leaving everything emotionally? Because I know Brad, he's a little more sentimental than I am. So I'm like, let's pitch it. He's like, no, we need to save it. I'm like, for what? What are we going to use this for? Like, how emotionally did that go?
I wasn't really emotionally attached to anything. So obviously I had my sentimental stuff. So like my fridge magnet, which sounds crazy, but everywhere I go, I get a fridge magnet.
We
So
do the same thing.
my photo albums, like baby books, kids' drawings from when we were little, stuff like that. That all went into storage, irreplaceable stuff. Anything that could be replaced, it's gone. Don't need it.
Yeah, you have to be brutal, don't you? I mean, when I was at my storage unit, I was like, oh, but that pot of screws, I've had that. I might need it one day. And I'm like that with everything. I used to collect empty jam jars to put stuff in. I had cupboards full of them. Really weird. But you just have to think, right, well, the goal is to do that. That cannot come. And just be brutal. But like Lisa said, all the sentimental stuff, it's in storage. It's not going anywhere. It's safe. It's dry. We've got that for whenever. So.
Okay. Yeah, that helps a little bit. I should probably. But I get like sentimental weird stuff though.
He wants to
Yeah, I feel like we're a little bit the same like that.
he wants to save wood, like scrap wood. I'm like, no.
Well,
No.
just in case you need it in the future. Like
I had some massive lengths of PVC pipe.
Yep. That's
I
expensive.
have lengths of that I've had for years that I've never used, that I probably got from a house clearance or something. And it was like, So it's like, I said to my Uncle Andy, it's like, when you come to collect all my tools and that, do you want all that piping and stuff in case like you need it or I might need it in the future? Like, so I know it's kind of there, but it's crazy.
Yeah. All right. So I have to ask, in all of your travels, what's the weirdest thing that you've seen? Because I know you.
Like people watching wise?
Either people watching or some kind of an experience with somebody. I know like language barriers can be a problem, so there's weird hand gestures that happen in the world. I don't know. What's the weirdest thing that you've seen?
We've seen a few. So in Jordan, August?
Yeah,
it was August. We saw a little car in front, and we had a sheep in the boot. There were two kids in the car in the back, and the sheep was just in the boot of the car.
What?
Yeah.
Was it soft? Did you get to touch the sheep?
No, it was just driving down the main road. We drove alongside it. Like,
What?
Yeah. There's loads of weird stuff that goes on, like people driving and what they're carrying. And I was driving through Albania one time on the road trip with my brother, and there was a guy in the back of a truck with all these animals, like his cows and stuff, and he's just driving around, and there's just all sorts of weird things you see. And again when we was it Jordan or Israel? I was driving and somebody got frustrated with me and they did this.
We still don't know.
We don't know what that means. So if anyone knows, like let us know. That means
We've seen that a couple of times,
Yeah.
haven't we? So I think we
aimed at me.
yeah, always,
My driving.
always. Yeah.
All sorts of weird stuff everywhere, isn't
Yeah, when I came to Mexico last year with the kids, start of last year, I saw a dog on a motorcycle. So main roads, someone the passengers had a dog under their arm. I'm like, what?
Right?
there? When we were
That's
in
strange.
Morocco, I love taking photographs of people. I like to see like the definition of people's faces and all that sort of stuff. And I was walking around Morocco and I was taking my photos and that. And there was this person, weren't they, just laying on the floor next to their wheelchair was tipped over, wasn't it? And we were like, are they drunk, asleep, or have they actually fell out their wheelchair? We didn't know whether to like go over and help them or just let them get on with what they would do. It's really weird.
Because you did see a lot of people. We sort of just have a kick on the floor.
Well, the other day we were driving down the road and there were just these two guys. They weren't workers or they weren't working and they were having a break. They're just laying down on the path and was just laying on his phone and the other was all. So it's so strange. Just sit down wherever they want and just
Needed a
yeah.
nap.
Weird.
Needed a nap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
strange.
that's one thing that I'm nervous about since we're gonna go travel. Starting in May, full time, basically. I'm really nervous about like the cultural differences between the USA and the rest of the world, and just like nervous how I could be perceived, you know. So like I don't want to get into those really weird situations with people that are like cultural faux pas per se, and it's really nerve wracking. Like, do I go and help this guy falling out of the wheelchair or not? Is that okay? Will it be perceived weird, right? So have you guys interacted with anything like that? Do you have any advice for me?
I don't know. We take everything as it comes, and Google Translate is a godsend. We were running low on fuel when we stopped at that fuel station, and you had
That
to go
was
and
Jordan.
yeah. So in Jordan, we stopped. We were really low on fuel out in the middle of nowhere, and we found this petrol station, and we got no cash, so I was going to pay card, but they only accepted cash. And the guy didn't speak a dot of English, did he? Not one single word of it. So it transpired that he had to get somebody from the nearby city to come to us to put fuel in his car, and then we followed him back to a petrol station where we could pay, something like that, wasn't it? It was a really bizarre way.
We had to go to a cash point.
A cash point, that's it, to get the money out.
And give it to him, and we had to pay him the extra for the fuel.
Yeah.
It was so backwards, like a petrol garage that doesn't accept cards, which obviously, when most people pay by card, like in the US and the UK, you're sticking quite a good amount in. So most people, me personally, I don't carry a lot of cash with me because I'm like, I'll lose it. So
it was the whole situation, wasn't it? Like I thought the guy at the petrol station had told me one thing, and he thought I was asking another. So I went back and sat in the car with Lisa and the kids, and this is what's happening. That wasn't what's happening at all. Then I've gone back to him and go, what's going on, mate? And it's so weird, it's so awkward. And
ages.
yeah, and then this pickup truck pulls up alongside us whilst he's saying go with them, go with him. And this guy's like trying to get us to go with him and his mate, and that wasn't who we were supposed to be going with. So it was like we were just going to be following these randomers. So
Yeah, right.
We didn't know what was going on, and it was really bizarre. Really bizarre. There was this time on the road trip, my brother, we were coming through Romania, and they kept our documents at the border, and they said, no, come with us, sort of thing. They didn't tell us where we were going. The English was really bad, and our Romanian was non-existent. We took around waiting. Then we had to follow this police van, and we followed it for a good 10 minutes away from the border to an industrial estate. I went on a Facebook Live. I was panicking. I was like, this is our last location. Like, we don't know what's going on. We were terrified, genuinely terrified. And all they wanted to do was take us to this vehicle scanner, a big machine where you park your car and it scans your vehicle. Once they did that, they were like, see you then, boys. But we didn't know what was going on. It was really, they would tell us, or it was all very secretive, and it was. So you find yourself in some really odd situations, but you just, I don't know,
You just go with it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just go with it.
Google Translate is usually a really good way of working it out, but otherwise you just have to just see what happens.
Well, I thought we'd get hijacked last year
Oh my
in
God.
Mexico. We flew from Cancun to Mexico City, and then I drove from Mexico City to, I don't know if you heard of the Tondo Hot Springs, which were about 5 hours away. We were about 20 minutes away from them, so it was a good old drive, and we got stopped, and I was on my own with the kids out then, and these guys were like, get out of the car. Oh God, like getting hijacked or get out of the car. So we've done as we were told, I'm not arguing with them. We got out of the car, we got our bags and everything. They just wanted to sanitize us before we went to the hot springs. It was just COVID time, so
Oh, sure.
we had to walk through this tunnel of like sanitizing mist, and then they sanitized the car. Off
Keep
you
going.
pop.
Wow. Oh yeah,
I was like, oh God.
you started traveling full time like right during COVID. Like what was that like?
Well, it was April this year, so it was kind of
Transitional.
yeah. So some places it was a bit up and down. So some places still wanted testing and masks and whatnot, but it's pretty non-existent now, really.
Yeah.
But we did travel. We did travel a lot during COVID. I mean, people said to me, "Oh no, I booked," because obviously the flight prices went stupidly low. So we went to lockdown. I was booking flights like, wow, I fly here for like
You're like, this is
£12.
great. I get a discount.
Yeah, and people were like, "You're not going anywhere in June. Are you mad?" I'm like, "I'll book somewhere for July then." So I had a flight to Portugal booked for June, and it got closer and closer and closer, and I thought they haven't cancelled it yet. And then I got an email from the airline saying, "Oh, can you just fill out this thing, to say like a health declaration form." I'm like, "Oh, what's happening?" We're actually going, and we went there like on the basis I didn't know if we were going to get let on the plane or what, but we did, and we had 2 weeks, or just over 2 weeks in Portugal, and then we come back. And because obviously people said to me like, "Oh, you're not going anywhere in June," so I booked flights to Croatia in July. So I was back for literally about 3 days, and then flew out to Croatia for another 2.5 weeks. And you know what? It's great because there was no tourists. We had beaches to ourselves. It was brilliant. The aeroplane was empty. Sit where you want, kind of thing. It's great. You can take photos in all the tourist hotspots, because there was no people.
Right.
That was really my first taste of travelling as well, sort of during the COVID time. we got together in the Mail, whatever it was, and then I started travelling, and COVID was still pretty much everywhere, wasn't it? We were starting to wear masks a lot, but there was no people. It was the second trip I got onto. You were already in Cyprus, weren't you? But I was working, so I couldn't be there straight away. So I was going to fly out for the weekend, and I got on an empty plane. It was crazy. I was like, this is travel? Oh my God. Yeah.
Like, this is
now
awesome.
I see there's more people. It's nice to see full planes and people getting to travel again. That is really, really good. But like Lisa was saying, empty beaches, you can, and they're really grateful to see you. They're like, "Oh, please come in," not trying to grab you off the street because they're just trying to fill the restaurant, but they were just glad to see a tourist. So it was really, really nice. Nice and quiet, and just go where you want without queues, and you see all the Instagram versus reality reels and things like that. It's back like that now, but it wasn't last year. It's great. We say to people, "Oh, you travel during COVID?" And it was like, "Yeah, it's the best time."
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know. Now all the mask restrictions and everything are gone in the U.S., so that's super nice. And I was just coming back from California last week, right? I was just in California with work. And I was asking people then, a lot of people flying during the days are all workers, right? They're just going from location to location. So I was asking them too, what was COVID like? And they were saying very similar things, right? Empty planes, super nice. And now they're like, everything's jam-packed now. Like, let's go back, right? It's way better for travel.
Yeah, it was all quiet planes, and now it's screaming babies and back to normal. But it's kind of nice to see back to normal though.
Right. Yeah, I kind of wonder if there's going to be a bit of a travel boom now, because everybody's kind of not been traveling for 2-3 years, and now everything's kind of opening up again. I know the cruise ships are opening up again too. So I'm guessing that there's going to be a whole bunch of travelers in the next few years. So hopefully it doesn't get overcrowded.
Yeah, just seeing social media since things started to be lifted. Every other post is someone's gone to Turkey or Spain, or people are doing their normal family holidays again.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Exploded.
Yeah. You've seen him even in the travel business. We have had a massive boom. We've had the best year yet with travel bookings. Even during COVID, it's like business didn't struggle. So we saw a lot of people left, but then we got a hell of a lot of people joined because they had the vision and they saw that there was going to be this massive travel boom. Bookings went through the roof. So we saw like there was less of the typical all-inclusives to Spain that people usually book, and we were seeing like these mad bucket list destinations. People were booking Peru and Ecuador and Galapagos Islands and all these mad places. And I don't know if that was because obviously life is when you realise life's unpredictable, you don't know what's going to happen, and we just thought, you know what, let's go for it, because you don't know what's around the corner.
Right. Yeah, that's good advice.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, somebody within the business booked over £30,000 worth of travel last month. So that just shows how much people are traveling again.
Speaking of business, how do you afford to travel?
The business. So yeah, the travel business. So like I said, when I joined back in 2017, I joined it as a little hobby. I didn't really understand what I was joining. I was just like, oh my God, this girl's getting paid for something to do with travel. I need to know what it is, and I was excited. I was like, I'm going to be able to go loads more holidays for my kids. I literally joined just to travel more, and like I say, it didn't disappoint. But 2.5 years into the business, I was actually making a 6-figure annual income, which I never ever thought would be possible for someone like me. I struggle massively most of my life with confidence and anxiety, and I always say to people, I'm no one special, I'm just a mum who loves to travel, and I use it to sort of transform my life. So yeah, the business has gone from strength to strength. Obviously I can work it from anywhere because it's online, so I'd much rather be sat on a balcony or a poolside working my business than sat back in the UK in the conservatory.
Yeah, that's kind of what's doing it for me anyway, because I've worked in a cubicle for the last 5 years, and I am not about it anymore. It's just draining my soul.
Yeah, it's like that for myself, because I was a painter and decorator. So going out and lugging big tubs of paint and sweating all day, getting covered in paint and gloss that you have to scrub off, and you take layers of skin off, and it's just not the one. And then starting the travel business, I'm still at the very beginning of my journey with the travel business, whereas you've sort of really nailed it. But it's just there's nothing better than what's your job? Oh, just travel.
Yeah, how do you describe that to somebody?
Yeah, it's really. What do you mean travel? Well, I just go on holiday permanently. it literally. So many people say, "Living the dream." I love seeing you on your social media, follow you and your family. It looks amazing, and it is what most people want to do, I think.
Yeah.
And if they don't, why?
Yeah, yeah. And I think the big thing for people is that they've got their routine in England or wherever they are. And to actually say, right, we are going to take the kids out of school and we are going to give up our job and travel full. And obviously the income is a big part of it. But even those that have got that income are so stuck in what they're doing, they're scared to take that step. Mm-hmm. And when I left England, I felt this weight just lifted, because I wasn't stuck in that routine, that getting up and going to work and coming home and dreaming of the next holiday, sort of thing. Although we were really, really frequently anyway, we were literally counting the seconds down as soon as we got on the plane to come home from one to the next time we get on to go back out. Mm-hmm. But I think it is just that step for people.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest hurdle for Americans, at least, is even to even quit a 9-to-5 job is healthcare, because we don't have universal healthcare. We have very expensive. Even if you're part of an employer, you still pay at least $400 a month just for a family healthcare.
Yeah.
And the employer pays most of it. So if you're not employed by somebody and you're trying to do it on your own, it's at least $700 for a couple, and that's not very good. It's not very good healthcare. So that's probably the biggest hurdle for Americans to even quit a job, let alone travel.
And that's just two people, right? Like with a family, it's even more because you have extra dependents, and the whole money game gets crazy, right?
Yeah. So that, and then schooling. So I don't know how your schooling works. Do you have to homeschool your kids a certain amount of hours, I'm assuming?
So we don't follow the curriculum. Because there's a lot of irrelevant stuff on there. It is so backdated. So my kids, they've got their maths and English, they do it online. So we've got some fantastic subscriptions to some websites that they can do all of that online at all of their age
appropriate.
Age appropriate, that's it. And then, world school. So we're going out, we're experiencing things that like meeting new cultures. They love to cook. All my kids can cook, like a proper meal kind of thing. So we have like a cooking rota. We just, they learn as we go along. My youngest, he's 9, if he gets something in his head, so you go and research it. His latest one's been Chernobyl. He's been a bit obsessed with, so he's been watching all the YouTube videos and come back and tell you all about it, all really excited. Whereas when they go to school, they'll come home and they'll be like, oh, what did you do today? Don't know.
Nothing. Learn nothing.
They don't absorb it because they're not interested in it. And I had this question on Facebook the other day, how do you school your kids? We're like, well, we world school them. They get their essential stuff, the maths, the English, online, but the rest the world teaches them because they've got to live in the world. They haven't got to live in a classroom for the rest of their lives. They've got to live in the world. So it's a much more expansive educational process, but they're having fun at the same time. There's this big thing about schools in the UK. I don't know whether they do it in the US. When they get to a certain point of their education, there's a big skiing trip in Italy for 5 nights or whatever it is.
It's like the senior trip, is what it is.
I want to go skiing.
So skiing in the Alps for 5 nights or whatever it is, £1,000 per kid, right? Whereas if they spent a couple of £100 on taking each child to a city in Europe for the weekend, which is easily doable. That's flights, accommodation, and spending money and food money. Easily for £200 you can do that for a weekend. The kids have learned the culture, the language, the architecture. They'd see the sights. They'd have a better experience. How often are they going to go skiing?
Right.
So we say about when was the last time you used a Bunsen burner? Because you learn how to use a Bunsen burner in your chemistry class at school, but then outside of school, when do you need that? They're teaching the same thing in England. They're teaching the same thing now as what they were teaching when I left school in '97.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't teach. They've scrapped all the life skills. So back in the '60s, they used to teach like the life skills and things.
Mm-hmm.
They scrapped that, like things kids will actually need. My kids have a lot more life skills than the average kid leaving school. The amount of adults I know who they can't even boil an egg.
Yeah,
it's crazy. They don't teach like how to budget and meal planning and how to go shopping and all that sort of stuff. And it's just mind blowing. All these kids are leaving school and they don't know what they're doing in the real world. We used to do like work experience and things like that, and mostly COVID's killed all that off, and it's absolutely insane. My eldest son is 14 now, nearly 15, isn't he? I think
you should know how old he is.
Age is just a
number. But he's thinking now. When we last saw him the other weekend, he's thinking about what he wants to do, and we're trying to say like go for an online sort of business where you can do drop shipping or like the Amazon stuff, or build your own website, or join the travel business when you're older, things like that. And we're saying to the girls constantly like start posting on social media about what you're doing, because we get told or asked all the time, like your children are never going to get a job, or how are they going to get work if they don't go to proper school and stuff. And it's like,
we don't have to conform to that. Leave school, get a job, be miserable for the next 40 years, you know, trade your time for money. The world's not about that now. There's so many opportunities out there in this day and age. People, you know, schools are still teaching the same thing. Like, you leave school, you get your education, you go get a job, and they're
teaching people to be employed, not to be employers. And with technology, all the technological advances, even this sort of stuff, we couldn't do this when I was at school. It's proving that you don't need a standard tick box square education, because you can go off and be a YouTube star. You can go off and, you know, travel the world, build a travel business, earn a 6-figure income, and, you know, have the lifestyle that we've now got because of that. Or, you know, there's so much you can do with online businesses. You don't need the tick box Bunsen burner education.
And you're teaching them the best skill, which is relationships. How do you talk to somebody random on the street? Like that is the best skill that you can possibly teach a child. It's how to talk to anybody.
I saw this tweet the other day, and it led to a whole thread, and it was brilliant because it was all about unschooling. And I said to you yesterday about it, didn't I? In school, children are being taught how to socialise in the playground and how to communicate in the classroom. That's not real world. Whereas children that are being world schooled, they're learning how to act in many, many different social environments. Like even the examples of the weird and scary situations that we gave earlier, the children have been there, you know, on a couple of examples. So they'll have seen that. So they'll have learned how to react in that sort of situation. Whereas putting your hand up to speak in the classroom, that's not real world. It doesn't. So it's crazy, the difference. So they're being taught how to socialise in the playground and not socialise in the big wide world.
Right. I think that's one of my fears actually for those weird, unnormal situations, is because I'm not world schooled, right? Just using, first of all, I love your mindset and I empathize and understand with it, and that's, I think, where we want to go to in the future, right? Because it makes so much more sense than anything else. And in the world schooling atmosphere, like, that's why I'm scared. I don't know those things, so I'm going to be putting myself into the deep end, if you will, with no idea how to navigate it. So I'm going to have to do it in order to learn. I'm just really scared. Yeah. That's all.
We obviously started with not a lot of experience as well. It's a running joke. I used to think, it actually comes up in my Facebook memories every year. I used to think Sweden and Switzerland was the same country. That's how good my geography was back then.
Right.
But yeah, obviously we sort of learn as we go. I mean, Tim, for example, only left Europe for the first time last year, and I was like, "Are you ready for a culture shock?" Like, we were doing a tour of Morocco, and he was like, "Yeah." And I don't think it had really sunk in until we got here, and it was like, "Oh, like, wow, yeah." Because I knew. Obviously, I've been to Morocco a couple of times before, and I knew it's so much different to the places Tim had been before in Europe. Like, they're gutting chickens on the streets, and you know, it's crazy, but it's their culture, you know, and like, especially when the sun goes down, it gets crazy real quick.
Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest positives that I've taken from traveling, is that I'm educating myself all the time. Like I think we must say every day is a school day to each other. Like, because one of us will hear something, or see something, or learn something, and tell the other, and it's like, I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. It's mad. Like, I've learned more in the 16, 17 months we've been together traveling than I've learned the rest of my life. Like general knowledge and sort of that sort of thing. Without doubt, I've learned so much. And don't be scared of it.
Right.
That's all I'd say. Yeah, just
I will. Okay.
Rush it. You know, even the scary situations, you can always look back on that and draw from it and use it again if you need to. And it's just take it as it comes, I reckon. It's just.
Yeah, that's really good advice, I think.
Yeah. It's always going to be daunting, like, you know, going somewhere new, but that's why you're going. You're going there to experience it and learn about it.
It'll be okay.
It'll be okay. Okay.
You'll be all right.
Just come and join us. We'll hold you out.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
you go.
Awesome. Yeah. Let's do it.
We are going to England, so
Bring the
we'll be in
cat.
your home country soon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's our current plan. We're leaving May 1st. We're crossing the Atlantic on a Royal Caribbean cruise ship and partying for like 11 days. And some of our friends and stuff are coming with us. It'll be fun. And then we're stopping in the Azores and then 2 stops in France, right? We're doing, is it Normandy?
Yeah, it's Normandy area. Cherbourg and La Havre.
Yep. And then we're landing in the UK ultimately. We're doing Bath and Bristol.
Yep.
Right, and then we're staying in London for 5 days.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
Was it the east side or north side of London that you picked?
Northeast.
Northeast.
Ileton area.
Yep. And then after that, we're flying or taking the train to Germany, right?
Dusseldorf.
To Dusseldorf.
Yeah, that area.
And we've got an Airbnb there scheduled for a month, and we'll kind of reassess at that time. So we'll kind of have a month worth of travel and then figure out what to do from there.
Yeah, good. Sounds amazing.
So the great thing about Europe, which a lot of people don't realise, you can fly to pretty much anywhere in Europe for about $20.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I wish that happened in America.
Yeah.
Jeez.
If you can be flexible, so this is what we started out with. Like sometimes people said to me, like, why have you gone there? Like, that's really random. I'm like, there's a cheap flight. I've not been there before, so I went to see what was there. But like, I didn't choose where I wanted to go. I let the flight choose. So I used to just pop into my search engine, UK to anywhere, cheapest month. Oh, £15, go there. You know, and we went to really random places, but there's something for everyone somewhere, you know. So whether it's like food or architecture, or there's always something you can find to do or see. So
Yeah, definitely. It is nice to be sort of not really know. When we were just going around Europe, we wanted to tick Europe off, complete Europe, go to every country, and it was just a matter of I'd be at work painting away and we were all miserable, and then I'd get a screenshot. She booked another flight because she found me for £12 or something. And it's like, oh, okay, they'll write me down, but, you know. It's always a nice surprise. But to be able to just go onto the search engine and 2 months' time there's a cheap flight to Germany or wherever, it was nice to be able to just do that.
it was, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's a great place to start with traveling in Europe because, like I say, you know, you can get about so cheaply.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've never been on a train before either, so I think that'll
Really?
be super fun.
I didn't know that.
No, haven't.
Never been on a
Definitely
train?
not between countries.
Well, no.
Like,
But
so-
even Amtrak?
Even Amtrak.
Oh.
I have never gone. So we're based out of Michigan in the U.S. Have you guys ever been to Michigan?
No.
You should come. It's amazing in the summer. It's like
In the summer.
Yeah.
in the summer, it's awesome. The Great Lakes are around. You got the Sleeping Bear sand dunes are awesome. Great pictures up there. Beer capital of the world, they like to claim in Grand Rapids area. It's cool. You can find something anywhere in Michigan, especially in the UP
It's on
too.
the list.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of
The
which,
ever growing list that just gets longer and longer and longer.
right? I want to ask you about that.
Be prepared for that. Yeah, everywhere you go, you've got to go back to for some reason.
Mhm.
Everywhere you go, I don't think there's one place that I've ever been that I wouldn't go back to. There's something everywhere, because unless you're going to go somewhere for a few months and explore the whole place, then you're not going to see everything and tick
Right.
off all the things that you want to do there. So that it just grows, doesn't it?
So, like, where would you recommend? Like, give me a top 5. I know it's probably tough to do, but like, what do you love?
So many different reasons as to why that would be. Because before I started traveling, I was a real fussy eater, and now I eat everything. Like in Morocco, we ate a sheep's head, eyeball, ears, cheeks, tongue. And they'd split the head, put it on the plate. Sorry, vegetarians, but it is what it is. It was split on the plate, weren't it? And it was just like, the brain, everything. And
That's a delicacy.
we still can't get around olives,
No, I don't like olives.
but we keep trying them. But
He didn't even eat mushrooms
No.
until we got together, and
know.
I know I would like you'd pick him off or leave or ask him about mushrooms. Oh God, that's the best bit. I love mushrooms, and I had these stuffed mushrooms. We out one of their tapas because you used to share food either.
No, sharing food is was weird.
So he just had to get his head around it. I'm like, I'm ordering, and you're eating it.
Mhm.
And it was there looking at his mushrooms. He's like, hey?
It's like that seafood platter in Cyprus. So I'd eat white fish like cod and just the normal basic stuff, and then let's get a seafood platter. Came out there was mussels and tentacles and all sorts of tentacles is one of my favourite things in the world now. I would take tentacles over pretty much any food. So it's really hard to choose what your favourite countries are because like the food might be the reason for a favourite country, or like Egypt, the coral in Egypt, that is one of the most amazing things my eyes have ever seen. So Egypt is on my top
Again,
for there, but
you weren't excited about Egypt. I'd been to
No.
Egypt 5 times before, and I booked to go to Egypt. I was like, oh my god, because it's not often we go back to the same place. Tim had never been, so I booked Egypt, and I was like, you're gonna love it. It's amazing. It's brilliant. It's like that's the first place that set me off with my travel bug. And he wasn't bothered.
I was more interested in going to Finland
in the
the month
snow.
before.
Yeah,
And then now Egypt is a place that I would consider to live. And but there's so many places that
Mexico is definitely up there with one of my favourites. I mean, that's why we're here for the next couple of months. So,
But then I'd say North Macedonia in southern Europe. I just love it there. You've got Canyon Macca, which is absolutely stunning. It's one of my favourite places on earth so far. It's really cheap. I like the city itself, Skopje. I love that there. So that's up there as well. When it's in the summer, it's beautiful. In the winter, it's with that taxi club, say like -15. Then same with Poland. Went to Krakow and had an amazing time there. So, and it's cheap, and the food in Polish food is lush.
Minus
so it's just
15C is what, 9
compare.
Fahrenheit?
Minus 15?
Yeah, it's 9 Fahrenheit.
No, it's lower than that.
No, it's not.
Really?
Yeah, I just Googled it because Michigan gets to -15. I was talking to some
Oh.
guys from Costa Rica, and they're like, it's wintertime and rainy. And I was like, oh, does it get to freezing? And they're like, no. So I Googled it. It's currently 78 degrees and raining there. And currently here, it's what? It was 38
It's
degrees Fahrenheit
49
yesterday.
degrees Fahrenheit right now.
So that's what? 15? No. Yeah. 10C?
10C.
10C currently in Michigan.
Cold.
Temperature thing is super weird too. Like America and the US is like what, the only country that deals in the standard system. So like I have to do that weird conversion for everything, right?
We're just gonna have to learn metric. Yeah.
Yeah, should. It's the same with miles and kilometres. So in England, we use miles. Everything else is in metric, but we use miles. And then everywhere else, it's kilometres.
I didn't know that. Huh.
How weird.
It is.
Do you guys drive everywhere, or do you take Ubers, or do you do like Vespas, or like how do you deal with navigating?
It depends on the country. So I do like to have a hire car. Unfortunately, I mean, since the whole COVID thing, they are a lot more expensive than they used to be. It's like sort of 5 times more expensive than it was. Just trying to get the money back that they lost. We don't always get a hire car now. I mean, we did get a good deal here because obviously we're here for a couple of months. So I do like to have a car, but when we're in some places like when I was in Dubai, it was so cheap to just jump in a taxi. Like, because before there is dirt cheap. So it was cheap to do it that way. And with it being busy as well, and have to find somewhere to park, it's a lot of effort. So it completely depends on the area. I mean, Morocco, we use trains. Their public transport was fantastic.
And then Egypt as well, taxis, because they cost barely nothing, and there's taxi. Most of the traffic on the road is taxi.
Yeah.
So you can just get in one anytime. Places like Poland, their
Uber
public transport,
is good as well,
the trams, they cost pence to get on, and you can just sit on a tram all day, so you can get anywhere. So it varies, doesn't it? It's nice to have the hire car because of the freedom. If you want to go and do stuff rather than paying for a tour and being picked up with a busload of people, you could just get in the car and go and do your own thing. and it's usually cheaper as well to do it that way.
Yeah, often we'll just hire a car for a couple of days just to go do what we want to do. Like if we want to go further afield, or because I'm not big on the whole the big tour bus thing, so I like to sometimes just get the itinerary and we'll go do it ourselves.
Oh yeah, with the internet too, you can just like Google what the itinerary is and then just do it on your own, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. I felt like the first time I went to Mexico back in 2018, we done the tour buses and we went to like Chichen Itza, and I think we got about 40 minutes at Chichen Itza. We got about 20 minutes at the cenote, and the rest of it was travel or pointless stops, like going in a shop you don't want to go in, eating at a restaurant you don't want to eat at. So that's what I said. When we go back again, get in a car and doing it properly. And we went and stayed in the area for 3 nights and spent the day there, So it's nice to have that freedom.
Right. Yeah, I like that method for sure.
Yeah.
And
It is.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's much better, because I like to take my camera and stuff with me as well, my tripod, and even though I hardly ever use my tripod or my other lens or all the other stuff, if you're in a bus with a load of other people that are doing the same, you're all cramped in and everyone's got all their junk that they don't need to take with them, and just bung it in the boot in the car and you're away.
What'd you say?
In the boot.
Bung it in the boot?
Oh, in the boot, sorry.
I think I inferred that.
I'm still getting used to trash and garbage, because we've just been in Canada and we've come to Mexico and they trash and garbage and we call it rubbish.
Yeah, because we find a lot of people, they learn the English from American TV shows, so they don't understand a lot of the English words. It's like the same in Mexico. They don't know what it is. If you ask for a bottle of water in an English accent, they're like, huh? You got to say it with an American accent. I want some water. And they're like, water. They're like, huh?
We went to IHOP in Toronto, didn't we? Was it in Toronto?
Niagara.
Niagara, yeah. And I heard, we asked for stuff with eggs, and she was like, would you like over easy? And I was like, because I'd only ever heard that on telly, and I was like, it's really, really strange. I don't know, what was it? It's over easy and something else, isn't it? But
yeah, eggs are a thing in this area too. So Toronto is really close to Michigan, right?
Kind of.
So
yeah,
I mean,
6 hours.
It's pretty close. Yeah. Which we measure everything in time too, not by distance. It's like how far away is that? 30 minutes, right? 45 minutes. So eggs, what you can do, over easy, scrambled, over hard, sunny side up, omelet.
That's what she said. Sunny side over easy, I think. Must be something like that.
Yeah.
But
Tim Hortons, that's a big thing in Canada.
All loads of that.
Yep. It's kind of like the Starbucks of the North, really. So.
Why are Canadians so nice? I thought that was just something.
No, it's true.
You see on films, they're always like, please, thank you, sorry, and all this sort of stuff. They're actually like that.
Yeah.
They really are.
Really, it's lovely, because anywhere else in the world, nobody's that polite, anywhere near that polite. And I thought the film's just exaggerated it, but it's actually quite accurate.
Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah. That is one thing with travel, because obviously, I mean, British we are quite polite people, pleases and thank yous, people open doors. Some places in the world are, let's say, abrupt, especially in parts of Europe. We had a few instances in Israel we went to previously, and we actually Googled, didn't we, why are they so rude? We were like, wow, we've had some interesting people, and one of their cultures is not to have manners, basically. If you say thank you in their culture, it basically means you're in debt to them, which was really interesting. But it's just crazy how cultures can differ so much.
Yeah, they see saying please and thank you as tedious. Manners is just tedious. It's an unnecessary thing to do. It's really strange, because it's quite a rude thing not to do for us.
Right.
But it's culture, and you have to accept the culture that you're surrounded by, or else don't be there. And we did that. We just got on with it and then got out. So I think it wasn't our kind of a beautiful country and stuff, but it wasn't art.
Right.
Then you go to Cannes and it's like, oh my god, you feel so welcome and like everybody's known you for ages. It's so nice.
Right. Yeah. So where next? I think it's probably time for shameless plugs. And what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? What message do you want to give to the world?
So we're here in Mexico until December. We're spending Christmas in Norway, nice white Christmas, winter wonderland.
Oh, that's gonna be so cool.
Then we're heading off to Southeast Asia, so we're going to be landing in Thailand on New Year's Day, starting the year as we mean to go on. But I mean, the message to people is just, you know what, life is short. Just go out there and do it. You get one life, and your kids get one childhood as well. Mm-hmm. You know, make it one to remember. Opportunities out there for everyone. You know, like I say, with travel business, it totally transformed our lives, and I always say, you know, I've made it work, so there's no reason why nobody else can.
I think for me, again, you know, the travel business is join the travel business. It's It really, it's changed my life, it's changed your life, it's changed your kids' life, it's changed my life. And I've got children back in England that I only see when we go back to visit, which is difficult for them. Obviously, it's difficult for me. And I had a conversation with my eldest son. I was like, are you sure you're okay with me being away all the time? It's not 100%, but I get why you're doing it, Dad. Because he knows that I'm doing it to build a travel business so that I can give them that life as well. And he did say to me, well, when I'm a bit older, I'm not going to be going on holiday with you as much. But if I can generate a business that is financially sort of stable, he's going to benefit from that. He's going to benefit from all the knowledge that we have from traveling. You know, I've got younger children as well, or a younger child, and he will also benefit from it. And actually, my eldest daughter, she's possibly going to be joining. She hasn't got a passport yet, but she's possibly going to be joining us for a little while. So she's going to benefit from it as well. So it's not just, you know, just about myself and making my life better, but it's actually so that we can give the kids something as well. Yours are benefiting directly, and mine, you know, we're going to have to wait a bit longer for it. But that's, and I just think it's just so much. I'd rather have quality time with my kids than like have the weekends where you sit around or you go down the park and kick the ball about, which are nice, but actually being able to take them to places where they can experience and learn stuff, I think is much more beneficial to them immediately and for their future.
Right. Yeah, admirable goals, and travel seems to be the way that, you know, those kind of things can come to fruition. So that's awesome. I really love what you guys are doing. You know, keep at it, you know, keep exploring, as I like to say. But yeah, that's awesome. Really quick, if anybody out there would like to be on How I Travel with Foley Exploring, please comment and let us know. Put something in the chat, and we'd love to feature you guys. So, yeah, thanks, everybody. I think we'll sign out for now. See you next time.
Take care. Cheers. See you guys. Bye.